After Tyson got out of prison and fought two boxers that were pretty much journeymen, it was time for him to face a big challenge. It was either Evander Holyfield or Tommy Morrison. We all know that Tyson chose Evander, but the question still is, what made Tommy Morrison so fearful and intimidating that Tyson himself didn't want anything to do with him?
Very strong, it's like very strong. I was never expecting to be strong like that.
With an amateur record of 119 wins and 16 losses, one could only argue that this fighter wouldn't grow up to become a household name, and even better, a strong and intimidating heavyweight. When Tommy finally turned professional, he saw immense success in the ring, knocking out 24 of his 28 opponents, resulting in them having to visit the hospital for a brief checkup after facing Tommy's destructive power, and of course his left hook.
There's the left hand, Jake goes down and
When Morrison faced Jesse Shelby, he put on a show for the media to understand that he was the real deal.
At the age of 13, he conned his way into a fight saying he was 21, and he lost only once. Working over his man on the ropes here, getting the best of it.
Jesse Shelby in trouble.
Yes, early. Shelby not worked against.
Fighting mentality that
Trying to survive the rust probably is a surprise as we go
While
back.
Jesse managed to keep up with Morrison's power, he would get too complacent and eventually get put to sleep.
Trying to work on, other than this obvious corner work, is maybe starting to throw some. And with the long
And with the fact that he is his own man, incidentally, as an amateur, he lost in the Olympic trials. A big right hand followed up on the left by Morrison, and Shelby is in a seated position and may not make it up.
A little hard to line up on, but he's a tough guy. You got to tip your hat to him. Fighting a southpaw is something I haven't did in a while, and it just took me a little bit of time to adjust. And once I did, things kind of fell in place.
Tommy was killing the ranks and making highlight after highlight from every one of his fights. The clip that still lives on to this day was against David Hocko. Hocko was an average boxer that had faced many of the greats of his era and was testing Morrison's power.
Took this fight on ridiculously short.
morning, I think.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like he's been in real hard training. Morrison, he's a lefty, and now have to face a right-hander.
There's the left hand, Jake goes down and probably out. What a huge shot.
In the post-fight interview, the reporter asked him a question regarding Iron Mike, and this was Tommy's response.
Facing a few guys that fought Mike Tyson early in their career, does the comparison bother you? You're managed by the same gentleman, of course.
Being managed by a man like Bill Caton sort of opens a lot of doors for you. I think it's a little premature at this stage to compare me with anybody. I still am young. I still got to get bigger, faster, and stronger, and there's a lot of things we got to improve on. So we're just looking to improve with every outing.
The bell is going to sound.
After taking Tyson the distance for the first time, James Quick Tillis was on his path to recover from a defeat as such. The best option for him? Tommy Morrison.
He's gotten better and better as he's moved ahead in the pro, and there you see it again.
Still trying to get himself back in. But good left hand, down goes Tillis.
I guess he does have a good left hook. Right, I think he's shocked that he got nailed with that punch.
And a right hand gets there also. And incidentally, that was set up by a body shot. Another left hand. Tillis is in trouble.
And this is a very small ring.
And a good combination again by Morrison. A left and a right behind it. An uppercut, and down goes Tillis. Very impressive.
His accuracy is amazing with his punches. This is a very good effort by Morrison, even if we're wondering if Tillis is... Well, there it is.
That's it. And that's it. 2 minutes and 2 seconds.
Tillis was down. Morrison was now one of the top dogs.
About taking a big step forward, and I really believe, Al, that he did that tonight.
In February of 1991, as the competition got better, he met Pinklin Thomas for a fight that got many excited.
Thomas knows that left hook is coming, but he is a slow starter. It'll take him a few rounds to get warmed up. Whereas Morrison faced in the outset, good left hook to the body by Morrison.
Ended very quickly in the first round. That was the biggest name he has faced. And now it is...
Notice how every one of the guys he faced were former opponents of Tyson. It would be a discredit to Morrison to say that he didn't perform better than Tyson against them.
Some big foes, and there's that wicked punch. He has a couple of things going for him. His left and his right.
And he's got more going for him now.
Thomas was getting his ass whooped, and when he returned to his corner, he said that it was enough.
Came to the corner. They did not even have to examine him.
That same year, Tommy would unfortunately be faced with his first loss against Ray Mercer. It was one of the baddest knockouts still to this day, and while many thought this would put him off the hype, it certainly did the opposite.
Mercer. The question is,
on his way to rebuild his name after his loss to Ray Mercer, Morrison would find himself in the ring with a skilled contender named Joe Hip, who was expected to at least push Morrison to his limits.
By Morrison. The left hook up top is his best punch, but his body punch
has been hit before, but when his punches land and right between the gloves of Hip and almost connected, did tire badly in the Mercer fight, although you get the impression that it was.
While Hip was outclassed from early on, he delivered a shattering shot that broke Morrison's jaw. What followed later was a slugfest between the two for the victory.
And the first one we've seen.
Oh, and a right to the chin puts Joe Hip down. A little over 2 minutes.
And you notice, if he's got enough left, he looked tired in the fourth. Might sense that he was getting real tired. I mean, he expended a lot of energy.
You can't fight with your mouth open. Oh, a good right hand by Morrison, and that hurts Joe Hip. Joe Hip is in trouble. Joe Hip is down. A right hand from Tommy Morrison.
We showed everybody that we do have a right hand, that we have added more to our arsenal. So I look at it as a plus. You know, I got hit a little bit too much. Defense is something that we felt like we always had to work on, something that hasn't been a secret, so we're real happy about it.
Another former opponent of Mike Tyson that found himself in the same ring as Tommy, Carl "The Truth" Williams, was no journeyman for sure, and was the last boxer Morrison had to face before having a shot at the title.
Believe it or not, this is a good Williams.
Hand and Mills Lane says, don't do that again. And there's the left hook, and down goes Carl.
Williams' chin was tested early on from the signature left hook of Tommy. After managing to get up, the both continued to batter each other until the end of the round.
He knows how to tie Morrison up. He knows enough to walk him around and kill the clock.
From Carl Williams. Now Morrison. There's another left hook flush on the knee.
In the fifth, it was Morrison's chin that got tested as he got dropped to the canvas. To be honest, it was like power got transmitted to Morrison's hands, as what he did to Williams was nothing short of special.
He's moving a little more.
Good right hand by Williams, and down goes Morrison.
He's certainly going to help Williams.
Morrison trying to finish with the uppercut, comes back with the left hook.
Williams is already busted up. And Mills Lane has stopped the fight.
Another dramatic power punching comeback for Tommy Morrison.
Morrison's last fight of big notice was against Donovan Razor Ruddock. And boy, what a fight that was.
Very cautious so they don't open up, but, you know, you look for the left hook, you worry about the...
Nice jab by Morrison. I was going to remind people of the nice uppercut by Ruddock. Oh, there goes Morrison!
The Duke was dropped in the first round, but didn't seem to make a difference as the following rounds were filled with power shots.
Moving now, but they wanted the 16-foot ring. Morrison in a major fight several years ago was against Ruddock. Ruddock has fought once. There's a hook by Ruddock, and it may have hurt Morrison. Big left hook! Down goes!
This power shot was the last big hit Morrison got to throw, as his life would decline from now on. While we can only imagine how a fight with Mike would have gone, we have to see why the circumstances didn't allow it to happen. Morrison started boxing in 1988, and he was working his way up the ranks, whereas Mike Tyson was dominating the heavyweight division. Tyson lost his titles in 1990, and Duke faced his first ever loss in 1991, the year that Iron Mike got sentenced to 6 years in prison, but was released after only 3 years later. At that time, the Duke was seen as a has-been, so he decided to negotiate with Don King, the famous promoter, for 3 fights, including one with Tyson, who had just been released from prison. While Tyson went on to fight Holyfield, Morrison tested positive for the HIV virus and was suspended from the sport. And by that, not only was his career over, but his life would be on the decline from now on.